Yo, blessings, people. So I just listened to one of our very, inspired, experienced social workers in regards to choosing your teams if you are a newly qualified social workers. And I definitely tip my hat off to social work race in terms of the job that you're doing, as well as the other social workers who are actually, continuing to inspire people to understand the profession that we do and also to be able to make their own choices. But you know what? I think I have and I've always had a different view about child protection or some of the teams when you qualify as a newly qualified social worker, or even thinking I am in my ASYE role, which is the best team for me. And I'm always advocating to say that, you know what, go to child protection, go to referral and assessments. This is and I'll definitely share my reason why. Obviously, as a local authority, in terms of the child's journey, there are different teams: disability, children in care, fostering, adoption. There are different child in need. There are different teams, but the first three teams that this is my personal view, and I'll share the reason why. My view is the three teams that I would definitely recommend for every newly qualified social worker is child protection, section 47. Okay. Obviously, in all the other teams, safeguarding is paramount, but there are specific teams who are responsible for child protection. So I will definitely advocate for child protection team, CP team, the second one being referral and assessment, and the third one being child in need, SIN team, or usually other local authorities call it the community team. And I'll tell you the reason why. In child protection, you do have the opportunity to straight away hear it, call all the professionals involved, and boom, make a decision whether threshold is met. And straight away, that decision is made for you to go out there in order for you to be able to make the decision whether we still need to be involved or we still keep it on CP. If we need to keep it in, if we still need to be involved and maybe step it down to the locality team, child in need and all that, it can definitely be transferred and dealt with that. Equally, assessment team, you go knocking on people's doors. Okay, you've had the referral from the MASH, you've definitely had the basic information, and this is the reason why your skills that you learned as a social worker whilst you were in uni comes into play. You have to learn to be able to get through the door. You have to learn to be able to gather the basic information that, the referral may not give you. Now you are speaking to school, you're speaking to GP, you're speaking to the child, you're speaking to the family. Now maybe you may have to speak to extended family if it should happen that the child is not able to, remain in the home in terms of your safety planning. All these things are things that, in your early years of practice, you will definitely do and you would have to learn to do. But you know what? In order for you to be able to do that very well, which it may look like, whoa, it's going to be too much. Yes, it's going to be too much. But for me, I think sometimes we need to look at our personal characteristics. It will be proper during your early ASYE years, your early years in practice, to dip yourself in the deep, because that is where the motivation, the inspiration, that is where you are, and you are actually ready. People will say to you, we are here to support you, and that is where you get the support. So in order for you to be that confident social worker in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, where people may be suggesting to you, do you not want to take, a senior role and all those things? I would say if you've got these kind of crisis situation under your bag, you are out there feeling very confident because you've worked with the police, you've worked with probation, you've worked with all the agencies, you are really confident and you understand what it means by is threshold met. Is this something that we can manage the situation? Are we going to court tomorrow? Are we talking to a police on, the police who have just, police protected a child, and for that reason, I have got a very short time scale to go to court in order for me to be able to say, the child is going home, the child is going to stay with, the family, or the child is going to be staying with foster care. And if that is the situation, what do I do about, family contact? What do I do in regards to maybe the child going to school? All these things, to me, you are more creative during your early years in practice. And whilst it may look like everything is being dumped on you, whilst it may look like, you know what, I may burn out, I would say to any newly qualified social worker, that is the time that you can utilize the support, the skills, the resources that you have around you so that you can manage these cases. After a couple of years, you are expected to know. And that is for me the reality. So I always say to my students, if you qualify, this is the time that you need to demonstrate that you are like a sponge. And if you possibly take your mind to what a sponge looks like, you are ready to soak, okay? You are ready to soak. This comes in, that comes in, and that is the time where you are able to, take on board all these situations to put under your bag to say that, you know what, this is why I signed up for social work. I understand you may have your family, but to be very honest, there will be times that you will neglect your own children. There will be times that you will neglect your own husband or wife. This is the reality. You may have appointments, you may have dates, you may even have to miss parent evening. And I'm not saying that as a badge of honor, but that is the reality. And I'm not saying it's the best, but for me, after you qualified, after your ASYE years, during your very few years in practice, I would say the motivation in there for you to be able to learn and take on board all these things, that is when you are ready to take on and also learn as well. And remember, none of these cases are your personal cases, i.e., none of these cases would be something that you have to take home to say that if I'm not able to manage it, the world will come to an end. So it is a shared responsibility where you have management, senior management, everybody to be involved, especially during your early years in practice. If you wait and possibly go into the other teams, the expectation is after a couple of years, you are expected to know. And what you do realizes that sense of confidence, that way of challenging families, that way of, understanding what it means by a disclosure, that way of working with children, being creative, engaging with children in putting together a direct work that demonstrates what exactly may have happened. You may not be able to build it. This is my view. In your very early years in practice, you are like a sponge. It's just like, on the other hand, being a nurse. Your early years in practice, if you choose to go and be, no disrespect, I'm an ear specialist, that's okay. I'm an eye specialist, that's okay. But what it means is a nurse will go straight after practice or after qualifying and be an A&E nurse. Those nurses are in a position to see everything. You are in a position to see everything that the ambulance brings in. And that builds your skill, that builds your confidence. That prepares you, that prepares you for the real world, what you signed up for. So, I continue to hold, and Social Work Race, my brother, are definitely, all your, productions, all that you put out there, big respect to you, but this is my view. Your early years in practice as a newly qualified social worker, I will definitely recommend your child protection, your child in need or localities team, or your, what's the other one? Your referral and assessment. Those are the places where you can easily go to court. Those are the places that you may see it all. For me to go to the high court, that was when I was in those teams. For me to be able to say, we're calling a strat, same day, I will be giving a strat, same day. That's exactly where it happens. If you move on to the other team, to the fostering team, to the, adoption team, to the other teams, I am not saying anything in disrespect, but this is my view. You will go to a foster carer's house. Just imagine if you are in a fostering team as a social worker, you will go to a foster carer's house, and because of your relationship with them, it's likely to be, I'm serving you tea, I'm giving you a cup of water, to welcome you to my house. But if you are in these other teams that I mentioned, everybody is saying to you, F off. How do you gather your information when the pressure is on you? When the pressure, nobody is saying, we agree to the reason why you are involved. So, if you possibly think about adoption team, great. It's more to do with your knowledge and skill. And you cannot be in the adoption team, obviously, unless you've got a couple of years experience under your belt. But for you to be an adoption social worker, you've already identified adopters, you go to the homes, there is less friction. I'm not saying that you always need to have friction. But for me, in your early years of practice, if you are having those friction, that is where you build your skills, your people relationship skills. And that is what you put under your belt, so that when you get to the point where you are managing a team, where you are managing other social workers, when you are dealing with senior managers who are saying to you, we don't care, we are only interested in KPIs, you are able to reflect on when you were out there. You are able to reflect and say to senior management, I am actually stepping in for this social worker because I know how it felt when I was a frontline social worker. You are able to understand that, when the social worker is saying, I have gone out there 1,001 times and I'm being told to F off, you are able to bring that skill. For the likes of children in care, and maybe this is something that I can do if people think it's needed. Why do I choose, or why did I choose to work in the children in care? And, my whole summary is, it's because of my ability to build relationship, and the people that I always want to build a relationship with is the young people who are the reason why I decided to be a social worker. So, people, we may have different views about this, but for me, to any newly qualified social worker, I would say your first point of contact, your first place of practice where you can build a skill for you to understand all that it means, the creme of your practice as a social worker is a child protection team, the referral and assessment team, and then possibly, get into the community team. This is my view. Share your view. People may not agree with it, but you know what? We are in a respectable profession, but let's learn. Let me hear your view. And if there's any other thing that you want me to talk about, I'm more than happy. People, we are here to learn. We are here to respect and also support our new generation coming up. And I'll definitely recommend. Do you want to be a social worker? People, if children are for you, why not? Somebody may say, why are you working with children, not the adult? Remember, every child comes, or every child, has a network in terms of parents, uncles, relationship, aunties, and that. So every child has an adult in their lives. So you equally work with adults. But would I choose an adult social work role over children? People, that will be another conversation for another time. Let me know what you want to know in terms of this amazing profession as social work. But for me, boom, people, I'm a child social worker and I continue to root. Share your view, okay? And maybe I'll put this on my YouTube channel called Black Next Gen. I never thought about it. I actually thought about, responding to my brother, Black Social Work Race. But you know what? I'll put this on my YouTube channel if you want to celebrate Black excellence. That is what I do on my YouTube channel. It's not just about social work. I love to party. Let's have something different in terms of our roles. It's not just profession. We do something totally different. So if you want to be part of it, join us on our Black Next Gen YouTube channel. That is where I am. And it is mainly about everything about us as Black people. People, I'll see you in the next video. Boom.